Captain Planet and the Planeteers, issue number 4 from Dynamite Comics. So I didn't do a review for issue number 3, so I'll do a super quick recap. Basically, the Planeteers realize that they have to try to find where Gaia is located, and they believe that Dr. Blight might be able to help them. So they go to her office, and it turns out, surprise, surprise, Dr. Blight is a bad guy. She's working with Plunder, and so Plunder sends in Duke Nukem to try to capture the Planeteers. And for anyone who's like wondering, like, Duke Nukem? Yeah, Duke Nukem actually came from the Planeteers before there was a video game. I'm not saying that they're like the same characters. They're not, obviously. I'm just saying that the name Duke Nukem as a character actually first started in Captain Planet, and then a year later there was the video game series called Duke Nukem. But they're able to make their escape, and they're able to steal some of Dr. Blight's computers. And Wheeler ends up leaving the group because he's like, I don't want to be risking my life for this. Like, this is stupid. I just got these rings. Now all of a sudden I have people trying to kill me. I've almost burned down a building. I've accidentally started a riot. Like, I'm in way over my head. And so he leaves. And the cliffhanger is that Plunder goes to Wheeler and tries to make a deal with him. And we start off this issue with Guy. And I know her name's probably pronounced differently, but I'm going to keep calling her Guy because it's funny to me and it reminds me of Guy LeDouche from MXC. But Guy's running from a giant tsunami that's about to wipe out the city, but before she can die, she wakes up. It was all a nightmare. And their group are trying to decrypt what's in Blight's computers. And they start talking about Wheeler and him leaving. And Mahdi decides to leave as well. And so the rest of the group starts arguing with each other about how we're falling apart, how we need to work together. And Luca basically calls Guy childish. And Guy snaps at her and says, how dare you? I'm a marine biologist. I know better than any of you what's at stake here. And that made me laugh. I don't know why, just, I'm a marine biologist. I know what's at stake here. Yeah, sure you do. Do you know how fast the polar ice caps are melting? Well, you're a very terrible marine biologist then, because the exact opposite is actually happening. Ice caps aren't melting. I know they've been telling us that for years and years and years, because I remember hearing that as a kid, that the ice caps are melting and polar bears are losing their homes. But it turns out that the opposite is actually true. Polar bears are expanding their population, and the ice caps are actually growing. So, strike one for Guy. And then Guy says, or what a tsunami wave would do to a human being. Well, marine biologists don't usually study tsunamis. That's not their forte. But if they do, it's really just to see how it impacts like marine life and stuff, not necessarily how it impacts humans. Again, that's not marine biologists' forte. But also, tsunamis have nothing to do with humans. Like, we are not in charge of tsunamis. Like, there's nothing that we're doing that's creating tsunamis. Tsunamis just happen because that's the way that life is. But yeah, I'm not here to be like lecturing anyone. I just think it's just kind of funny how we got this message coming across, which I was expecting at some point. It's Captain Planet. You're going to get your messages in at some point. That's pretty much the whole point of Captain Planet, is to bombard you with political messages for kids. But they're able to use the computers to find out where Gaia might be located. And it's an industrial plant near Reservoir Island owned by Lucian Plunder. And meanwhile, we have Lucian Plunder, and he's talking to Wheeler. And he's talking about how they've developed this ship that basically is self-driving and it has zero emissions, completely fueled by solar energies. You can kind of see where they're going with this here. I mean, think about it. Who out there in the real world owns a company that's pushing for self-driving, that's pushing for, you know, electric powers, or in this case, solar energy, that's not using gas? And you might be thinking, oh, you're pirate, you're just kind of looking too deep into it. This is no way in the world are they trying to say that Plunder is Elon Musk. Oh, there's actually a line later on where Wheeler says this guy sent a car to outer space, for God's sake. So yeah, Plunder is Elon Musk. Like, we really had to do that? Like, I'm not even a Musk fan or anything like that, but like, can we just keep real world politics out of our comics? Like, instead of like all these messages and Elon Musk and all that stuff, we can discuss things that everybody agrees with. Pollution is bad. Everyone agrees with that. Whether you believe in climate change or don't, or you believe in global warming or not, whether you're on the right, the left, I believe everyone can come together and agree, yeah, we shouldn't be polluting. Polluting is not good. Like, can we like just deal with stories that talk about like the middle ground that everyone can share? That's why I like stories that cover this kind of stuff. Like, that's why I like X-Men. X-Men, people are like, oh, X-Men, it's a racial thing. That's what the mutants represent. Or they represent the LGBT or whatever. And the answer is no. And yes, the X-Men represent being different. And that being different can be in any way whatsoever. Anytime when you feel different from everyone else, when you feel isolated, whether that be because of your beliefs, because of your identity, because of your religion, because of your color or race, could even just be because of your personality, like your likes. Maybe you like video games and you're surrounded by people who hate it. Maybe you like sports and you're surrounded by people who hate sports. Or you like being indoors and you're surrounded by people who prefer to be outdoors. Like, the whole thing about the X-Men is, it's if you feel isolated, if you feel different from others. That's it. That's a message everyone can follow. Like, that's something that everyone has experienced at some point in their past. I wish we had more stories like that. Like stories where like everyone can come together and believe in. Pollution can be that. But now we got to throw in that, oh yeah, Lucian Plunder is an XP for Elon Musk. And he tells Wheeler about how he's going to create this Eclipse Station, which is a prototype reactor capable of fueling entire cities with renewable energy, but we need a power source. And we believe that power source can be your ring. So Wheeler gives his ring to Lucian Plunder, who immediately puts it on, and that should be like the first sign that, like, hey, maybe there's something off with this guy if the very first thing he does when I give him the ring is put it on. But he goes to Commander Bleak, and he gives the ring to him, and he tells them to basically create duplicates from the ring. So they're going to create synthetic duplicates from Wheeler's ring. Meanwhile, we have Mati having a crisis about how he's wondering, like, how can we hope to survive a world consumed by selfishness and indifference? And that's when Captain Planet reveals that, yeah, there's always greed and there's always injustice in the world, but there's also endless love and beauty too. Because where there's life, there's always hope. Like, okay, that's pretty nice. I like how this is in like this right here. This is something that we can all agree with. We don't have Mahdi saying, how can we survive a world ruled by capitalism? It's just, how can we survive in a world consumed by selfishness and indifference? See, like, this is what I want more of. I want more of just like, yeah, we don't have to like point at specifics. We don't have to target one side or the other. We can group things up in a way where like, we can all agree with. Like, would you say that the world's consumed by selfishness and indifference? Yeah, I would say that there's a lot of that. From both sides, from everybody. Hell, there are times when I have felt like pretty selfish and indifference to things. Like, that's stuff like this. This is what I want more of. Like, less trying to divide the readers and, you know, people into groups and stuff, and just more of like, let's talk about stuff that we can all agree on as, you know, at a fundamental point. And I like Captain Planet's thing where it's like, instead of being so cynical, look at it from both sides. Yeah, there's selfishness, there's greed, there's injustice, but there's also love, there's also beauty, there's also hope. There's two sides to every coin. That's something I wish more comics would discuss. But yeah, we have the group and they decide to break into the building and fight their way through. Meanwhile, Lucian Plunder has created synthetic versions of the rings. So instead of earth, wind, fire, water, heart, he instead has heavy metals, isotopes, acidic compounds, bioagents, adrenaline enhancers, and he created all these synthetic rings based off of Wheeler's ring. And I'm just kind of thinking, how are you able to do that? Like, wouldn't you just be able to create like a synthetic version of like fire? How are you able to get all the other ones? Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone can figure out where this is going. We're going with Captain Pollution, which I feel like is too early to bring him in. We're only 4 issues in. That's the thing where I think this series was pretty interesting start, but I feel like we're just kind of running through this really fast. Like, we're only on issue 4 and we already have them breaking into Plunder's home base. We have a big fight that we're gonna see. We have Captain Pollution already here. We haven't even seen much of Captain Planet. and we're already introducing Captain Pollution. Like, we've seen Captain Planet in terms of appearing in front of the Planeteers once. I guess here he appears like in spirit form to Madi, but in terms of like them summoning him, we've only seen him once. And we're already going to be introducing Captain Pollution. Like, there's no build up to that. I kind of wish that there was like a build up. Like, we get to see more of Plunder and just him as Plunder before we introduce him transforming into Captain Pollution. That is Captain Planet. Artwork is fine for the most part. Faces at certain points look kind of weird. At other points it works, but at some points it just looks kind of like, I don't know, especially like the scene where we had Luca and Guy arguing with each other and Kwame trying to like settle everyone down. The faces just look really off, especially the mouths. But in other parts it looks pretty good too. So it's like, it's just one of those things where like the art for the most part is fine. It's just the faces look really weird at times. Some of the writing, like we can see the slow introduction of real world modern day politics into this when we didn't need to, especially by making Plunder Elon Musk. Like, really? I mean, Plunder is already an existing character. We had him back in the 90s before Musk was ever a thing. Why not just keep him true to that? Why do we have to all of a sudden make him Elon Musk? I don't know. I just think that's kind of dumb. Also, like, if you're going to be doing social commentary on the planet and climate change and all that stuff, maybe get your facts right. Saying that the ice caps are melting when it's the opposite. But like I said before, I wish it was just things that we could just, you know, just things that we can agree with. Like in terms of keeping our planet clean and healthy. Like, that's something that we can all agree with. How we go about that, that's where the differences come into play. But you don't need to even do any of that here. You can just say, oh, we're going to make the planet better by just teaching people to not pollute, and we'll have Captain Planet, you know, fight against opponents that are causing pollution and stuff. That could have just done something like that instead of having to try to like insert messages into it. But again, like, this doesn't surprise me. The whole point of Captain Planet, like, at first when you see it from the outside, you think, oh, it's just a cartoon about teaching kids to recycle and not pollute and stuff like that. But then when you actually get to watch the PSAs that they had afterwards, and you see messages like, the world is becoming overpopulated, and so you should save the world by not having a family and not having kids. Like, that was an actual PSA that happened in Captain Planet. Like, when you see stuff like that, then you realize, oh, okay. Now I understand why this cartoon is coming out. It's because you're trying to brainwash the kids. I don't know. I'm gonna just stop it here. I don't want to get too political, even though I feel like I really haven't. My problem is more of just overly politicizing things that I feel like don't need to. But again, this is Captain Planet. It's not like they're bringing politics into something that never had politics to begin with. So maybe I should just stop talking. But there you go. Captain Planet issue number 4. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.